Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. Hello, it's Emmy. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be testing a little gadget that I found at my thrift store, and it is this. And this kit claims to make a checkerboard cake. It contains a little plastic piece and 3 pans, and you make these concentric rings of batter, and you bake it in 3 layers, and once you stack them together, it will create a checkerboard cake, supposedly. This is made by Chicago Metallic. It's called the Checkerboard Cake Pan Set, and I don't really know when this is from. This looks very 80s, but I'm not sure if this is that old. No dates on it. I found this at my thrift store, Savers, and I bought it for $3.99. And rather than using the recipe included in the box, I'm going to use a standard cake mix because I'm going to make a Gatorade version. Yes, I'm going to substitute the water in the cake box recipe for Gatorade and see how that turns out. So today we will be making a Gatorade flavored checkerboard cake. Sorry about the dishwasher. Hopefully it's not being too annoying in the background, but my husband decided to run it and we all want clean dishes, so yeah. All right, so in here we have this, 3 non-stick pans. So this will make a triple layered cake, and it comes with this little plastic piece. You place it onto here, and then you pour the different colored batters into each section, and then you lift it off, and then bake it, and it should separate the batter into 3 rings. And then when you stack the rings on top of each other, it should create a checkerboard. So I've already baked my cakes, but let me walk you through the steps of how I got there. So when I went grocery shopping with my sons insisted that we use 4 colors of Gatorade, but I would suggest using 3. I think it would make it simpler in terms of mixing the batter and also just getting your colors right. And I made this little template here, trying to find a pattern that was pleasing to me. Yeah, like I said, it would have been simpler if I just used 3 colors. After I figured out the pattern I liked, I translated that into the different layers. So the top layer is represented here, the middle layer here, and the bottom layer here. That will make your life a lot easier when it comes to actually pouring the batter. The simplest way to make this cake actually is to use what they suggest here. And on the back, they give you the diagram of what the pan should look like. So, I want to make your life easier, just do what they tell you to do. So now that I've got my pattern worked out, now it's time to mix up the batter. So I used 2 boxes of cake mix, and I had a lot left over. So you might be able to get away with just 1 box, but I wanted to err on the side of safety. Because I was using 4 colors, I had to divide the cake mix into 4 batches. I did this by using a scale. Each box of mix requires 3 eggs, so I whisked all of my 3 eggs together, and again, I weighed that out. And then for the Gatorade and for the oil, I just used a measuring cup and divided the amounts by 4. So we're going to take our cake mix, we're going to add our eggs, we're going to add our oil, and then we're going to add our Gatorade. Instructions say to beat that for about 2 minutes with an electric mixer. Then I added a few drops of food coloring because I wasn't quite happy with the color of the batter. Because I've been burned before, I don't quite trust the non-stick nature of these pans, so I spray them with a little bit of baking cooking spray. And then I clicked the template on. It's really important to make sure that it's really well attached. Now we're going to fill each section, and we only want the batter to go halfway up the sides of the pan. So make sure you follow your pattern for your different layers. Once you have your pans filled, you're going to gently pry off the sides of the template and lift it straight up. This will prevent the batters and the colors from mixing. And then we're going to take the template and make sure you thoroughly wash it and dry it before doing the next layer. Proceed with the next 2 layers, and then we're going to bake them in a 325-degree oven because these pans are dark in color for about 25 minutes. Allow them to cool on a rack, and then about after 10 minutes we're going to invert them and then allow them to cool completely. Because I want nice even layers, I went ahead and took a bread knife and evened off the tops. So that brings us to this state right here. Turned out pretty nicely. There was some kind of bleeding in that one, and here wasn't quite perfect, but pretty well separated. This one was the best one, easily. It was a little bit of over mixing. You can see some of these large holes, but that does happen sometimes with kids that are overzealous with hand mixers. We are now ready to frost, and I'm going to just use this stuff, the stuff that comes in a tub. stick a blob right in the middle. According to my schematic, the green ring is on the bottom. Place that right in the middle of our cake stand. And then I'm going to use some of this parchment to keep my cake stand clean. Okay, we're just going to put a very thin coat here. We just want the layers to stick. We don't necessarily want too much definition. We don't want a lot of crumbs either, so you might want to scrape off the excess as you're kind of going along. What are you doing? Stay there. Okay, so this wants to tear. Be very, very careful because it wants to do that. Not cool, cake. Now we're putting this next layer on top. Coat of frosting just so everything sticks. Next, we're going to put our last layer, the blue layer. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. You want to make sure things are lined up. So, 3 layers assembled. And now we're just going to frost the whole thing. Because I don't want crumbs flying everywhere, I'm going to pretend that I did this first. Whoa. So we want this butt piece to go right back where it belongs. All right, I'm going to turn this over this way actually. And I think that will make my frosting a little bit easier. Yeah. Now we're just going to frost this. Not doing anything particularly fancy here. No crumb coats, nothing like that. Just going to slap this stuff on. Ooh, you stay there. You don't go anywhere. I know you want to crack on me. I know you do, but you don't want to. You won't do it because you like me. Yeah. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. I'm just going to do this like kind of old-fashioned style, with lots of swirls and whirls like that. Now that I've got a second jar of frosting, we're going to finish the sides. Just, you know, slap that on there. Put it on pretty thickly and you're less likely to disturb the cake underneath in terms of picking up too many crumbs. Now we're going to remove these bits of paper and we should have a clean cake stand. Very satisfying, very satisfying. Yes. Now for the moment of truth, we're going to cut into this and see how well the checkerboard pattern came out. Here we go. It's cutting very nicely. Let's get this piece of cake out. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah! It turned out, oh, pretty good. Ta-da-da! It worked! I'm stoked about that. And here's my slice of Gatorade cake. I'd say it turned out pretty well. On this side you can see there was some mixing here, mixing there as well. But this side looks pretty good. For the second thing I'm most curious about is to see if the Gatorade imparted any of its flavor to the cake mix. The cake mix was just a white cake mix, so it's going to have like a vanilla butter flavor to it. And I'm wondering if that about a half a cup of Gatorade had any flavor effect. It definitely smelled like it when I opened the Gatorade jars, and as we were stirring the mixture, it smelled a lot like Kool-Aid. And I'm curious to see if any of that flavor is recognizable now that we've baked the cake. Okay, I'm going to take this top bite here, and this is the yellow. So this is the lemon lime flavor. All right, here we go. Itadakimasu. Maybe just a little bit. Just slightly. That had a lot of cream cheese frosting on it. So mostly what I tasted was that vanilla, cream cheese, sugary, sweet frosting. Not so much of a lemon lime flavor. Not really discernible at all. Let's try the blue layer, which was the glacial ice, I believe, which smelled a lot like blue raspberry. That one I do taste. And it tastes like blue raspberry slushy. Subtle, but definitely much stronger than the lemon lime. Okay, now let's work down to the red. And this one is the fruit punch. All right, here we go. That one has the most distinctive flavor. You can definitely taste that. And that tastes like fruit punch Kool-Aid. It still tastes vanilla, but you can definitely taste the fruit punch of the Gatorade in that one. And the last one is a little bit harder to get to, and this is the green, and this is green apple. All right, let's try to get some of that blue out of there. All right, here we go. Pretty subtle flavor on that one too. Let me try that one again. That one I don't taste too much of. I taste mostly the vanilla of the cake. There might be a little bit of green apple flavor in there, but I really don't taste it much. Mostly all I can smell and taste is the vanilla from both the frosting and from the cake mix. The flavor that had the most distinctive flavor, not surprisingly, is the fruit punch. When we were opening all the bottles, that one and the green apple actually had the most intense smell. Of the four, it was definitely the fruit punch and the green apple. I was hoping I'd taste some of the green apple because I could smell it so strongly, but after baking it, not so much. So what are my final thoughts on the checkerboard cake pan kit here? So it does work, but there was some mixing, and I think that's just the nature of cake batter. Cake batter is a liquid after all, and even with this template, it does want to flow. It's just physics, right? I've seen other checkerboard cakes where people have used cookie cutters and have cut out rings of cake after the cake has been cooked, and they have much cleaner edges and much straighter checkerboard pattern than using this little device. This was fun. My children really loved pouring the batter, helping me mix everything together. They had fun mixing the Gatorades and smelling the Gatorades. This is the first time they've ever had Gatorade, so that was fun. We did a little taste test of that as well. So in that sense, it was fun. And of course, we added food coloring, and what kid doesn't love beautiful, bright colors? So that was the Gatorade checkerboard cake. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know in the comments if there's a gadget or recipe you'd like to see me test out and try. And please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media so you can see what videos I'm up to next, and I shall see you in my next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! What's this piece of hair doing right in the middle of my face?